Thanks for logging on to Inside the Zone. Blake Sebring, Glenn Marini to talk Komets hockey, and we are again talking positive Komets hockey. What has this season become?
I don't know. It's just dumbfounding.
Boy, I tell you, they have flipped the switch really since December 22nd. When you take a look at the numbers since then, 13-3-4, a 75% winning percentage. What have you seen? Obviously, the addition of Colin Chalk and.
But the thing was, it was before that. You know, it really was. It was before Colin got here. Tab has made a big impact. Dan LaPointe has made a really big impact. Mike Ratchuk, who we haven't gotten to see play here yet. It's just all these guys. I mean, if you think about it, they've already used more guys this year than they used all of last year. And they've turned the roster over that much since the end of training camp. That is a remarkable achievement to be able to get this going again. I mean, there were so many people who wrote the season off at 5-15 who are eating crow right now that they're 18-18. It's just remarkable so far what's happened.
And when you take a look at one of the guys that they will be getting, because this is what the bloggers want to talk about, the YouTube viewers, all those people out there that know about minor league hockey fights, John Nasty Morasti is coming to Fort Wayne. Talk a little bit about what that means for Komets and for Komets fans to see. I mean, because I've seen pictures of this guy on the web. His arms are like,
it's like
my legs.
It's like he has bowling balls in his shoulder pads. I mean, it's amazing. And his head is kind of like shaped like a bowling ball, and it's just as hard from what everybody says, too. I mean, he's a 5'10", 225. He told me today he's 225. And, I mean...
And he's not fat.
No. And, it's like he's like one of those guys who's overbuilt up almost. I mean, it's amazing. He's just amazing. He's an amazing fighter. He'll take 5 punches to land one on you, and he has to sometimes because he's only 5'10", going against the 6'4" guys. But everybody has tremendous respect for him as a person, as a fighter, as a player. They just have tremendous respect for him and the way he goes about his business.
So he's going to be an enforcer for the Komets. My next question is, what does a guy like adding John Morasti mean for someone like Kaylee Schrock, who has kind of had to be the aggressor, be the fighter out there for this team? Now maybe he can focus a little bit more on offense, or some of those guys that maybe had to worry about that. Sescon also has thrown down quite a bit. Do they kind of turn those duties over to someone else and perhaps focus I
think what it does is it's just like when you get like when Colin came back, it allowed everybody to slot in underneath him in the leadership chain. Everybody could go back to their more natural roles maybe. Same thing with this in the fighting categories. Guys can slot in more now where they should be because he's the king of the hill, and he'll be the first option, and he'll want to be the first option too. I mean, he is itching to play. I talked to him today, and he is just itching to play.
All right, so one guy that a lot of people had wondered, because they were kind of lacking that tough guy on the roster, Brad McMillan. Talk about the next step that Brad's making, because a lot of people wanted to see him back in a Komets jersey, but it looks like he won't be putting on another one.
It really wasn't possible to get Brad back because the Central Hockey League had made the point that they were not going to lessen his suspension. No matter what you think about the suspension, I mean, I didn't think it was fair. They decided to stick with that. So Brad went to the East Coast Hockey League for one game, and all this time he's been looking at getting a job in an oil refinery in Alaska, which pays incredibly well. I mean, if it's a kind of the deal where, and he's going to retire and take that job. If you get the chance at that job, it's like, well, okay, hockey career's done. I mean, there's no question about it because that can set him up for life. And like he said, he could afford to take the time to go back to school if he wanted. It's just a remarkable position that he's got the chance to take. So he's going to do that. So he retired yesterday.
All right, so we won't be seeing Brad back, and that's unfortunate for many fans who really enjoyed his style of play.
And he's just a great guy. I mean, he's just a remarkable teammate and a remarkable man.
Love to see his son around there on the ice messing around. Won't forget him because he looks like Brad.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hopefully, maybe a different temperament, but
hopefully for Brad's sake.
Well, hopefully for his wife's sake.
She's tougher than both of them.
I had a feeling. You mentioned the word suspension, and that's something that kind of comes to my mind after Saturday's 27 penalties in the last couple seconds of that ball game of the game. What do you see as shaking out? Because really, you take a look down at the penalty sheet, and you don't really see a lot of common names.
No, you really don't, and you see less names than you did before the end of the game because the referee ended up taking some game misconducts away from the Komets. Dustin Mully had an extra game misconduct, I believe. I think Kaylee had a game misconduct, and he took both of those away after the game. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I think you could argue, should Dustin Mully even have had a fighting penalty? I mean, I don't think he threw a punch. He was basically just trying to hold on and defend himself because really, if you think about it, other than the people who like the barbarism of it, what was the point for the Komets to even engage in the fights at that point? The game was over. They had won. And, you really want to, what was the point? I mean, that's kind of like what my biggest beef is with fighting in hockey. It's like, okay, what did it resolve? Nothing. I mean, it didn't. What's the next one going to resolve? Nothing. I mean, it never changes. It's just it just is part of the game, but I mean, it's not going to change or anything or resolve anything.